announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut.
If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live!
We flex hard. NXT.
It's go time, folks!
Sweet! A little bit of the bubbly.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
For life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, it's Thursday. That means it's time for some Flex Network Wrestling Weekend Review Show here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. What a week we've had. Man, coming off of Full Gear this week, and that was a damn good pay-per-view. You had New Japan Pro Wrestling's Power Struggle this weekend. That was insane. We have a lot of things coming up for January. Some matches already made for January for New Japan, and that's going to be just two. Man, just a lot of great things have been coming up. We have more more things coming up on the horizon. We had Raw, we had SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Survivor Series is on the way in 10 days. Let's get into it. Let's get into what went down this week on the shows. Quick little news report on like what's been going on backstage and everything for everybody out there who's curious. Couple things. WWE Monday, they had released about 10 to 15 people. Again, another round of releases, mostly behind the scenes staff members and logistical talent was released. I mean, one of them was WWE ring announcer Tony Chimmel, as he is now released from WWE, as he was doing backstage stuff. So not really much of an impact as much, but it was just more behind the scenes personnel that was released on this round of cuts. So unfortunately sucks for them. Tuesday, we had AEW Games announce big, coming out with some big announcements with 3 games on the way. And I'm counting them. 1, a 2, and a 3. 3 games. They have a console game coming up for both the current and the next gen. And it's also in development. And then they have 2 mobile games. One is going to be Elite General Manager. And then a casino, a Double or Nothing. That is going to look so, these games I can't wait for. And their console game, they're working with Ukes. You guys should know that name if you are an N64 wrestling buff, as this is the company that made WWE games for nearly 20 years. You're talking SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth. You're talking SmackDown, Know Your Role. The WWE SmackDown games. All the literally No Mercy, guys. This is just like the company that made WWE games. And not only that, the director of WWF No Mercy and another a similar game called Virtual Wrestler, is helping AEW with developing their games. Mr. Hiduku, it's basically Gita. He's joining their team to make their games. And dude, the guy that made No Mercy, the director, that game is just so legendary, to say the least. Like, it is one of my favorite games of all time for wrestling. I mean, I still have it to this day. I still have my N64, and God, I remember just getting it Christmas Day, and it was freaking awesome. I literally was like, "Can we go home? I want to go home right now. I was like, I want to play this game right now. I want to pop it in the cartridge. I want to just sit there and play." It was freaking awesome, and I love that game ever since. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the games I will never get rid of. If it somehow breaks for some reason, I will find another one. But yeah, that is just too awesome for these guys. And yeah, I mean, the company that's made, or that is now working with AEW to make their games, this is the game that, this was the company that was making WWE games before they switched over to the 2K franchise series. And obviously, I think you could see why they're known as the wrestling game company, because they made damn good games with, their engines and everything that they've done. The 2K, the 2K series has had, of course, this past year, we're not getting a 2K20, or sorry, a 21. We're getting a 22, because 2K20 was just bug ridden. Like, the worst thing you could have ever done, especially for wrestling fans, is have a game that is bugged out. And in this day and age, with connecting online, playing with your buddies, downloading, and creating and putting it up for everyone to share, and you have all these bugs, to even graphic problems, to where it's like you're having these bug-eyed like moments, or it just doesn't function and play well. That's no bueno. That's no bueno. I mean, that's why. I mean, think about it. If you go to any Walmart, Target, GameStop, Best Buy, you get, and even on the Microsoft Store, even on PlayStation Store, they are selling WWE 2K20 for cheap, because it was so bad. Literally. And yes, I was one of the people that bought the Ultimate Edition, because I've liked the WWE games. I get it almost every year. I figured, if I get some extra stuff, I'll get supercar codes and some extra gear. And then obviously day one there was bugs, and like, okay, you know what? I looked at it like this. Day one, there's going to be bugs. That happens to, almost in every game, since in the now modern era, with discs, downloads. There's going to be some bugs. I get that, but figure maybe 2-3 patches later, like, okay, we got the bugs fixed, the game's playable, and it's it's a lot better than what it was day one. But not even from day one, or sorry, literally from day one all the way through, no matter how many patches these guys did at 2K, it just was never fixed, and it never recovered. So this, literally WWE 2K 20 was just bug ridden, and it was a pain in the butt for everybody to play. Still somewhat playable, but it's just too bug ridden. And it was so bad that WWE was like, you know what, we're not going to have a 2K21 this coming year. That's why we have Battlegrounds right now. And yeah, it's okay. It's an okay game for just being a fighter, somewhat of a archaic fighter game style ish, but it's still wrestling. And it's decent. I will give it that. I like the game. It's decent. It's one of those like, I feel like, I'll go through the storyline and I'll play the game. But again, it's not buggy. It's just a, an archaic style video game. Now, hopefully when we get 2K22 this next year, and it's hopefully not as, it's a vast improvement, like literally leaps and bounds improvement over 2K20 edition. It's going to, I hope it's a whole lot better. But yeah, so that was my rant on the whole WWE game and situation. But I'm liking what is coming up for AEW, their console game. I'm gonna, keep it, guys, keep your eyes on that. Follow these guys on their social media and their YouTube to keep up to date with these guys, as it looks very, very awesome. And then, of course, there are two mobile games, Elite GM and Casino Double or Nothing. That one's going to be even more awesome. I can't wait to see when especially Casino Double or Nothing. That one looks like it's, they're saying that it's coming out, soon. So keep your phones on for that and make sure you guys go out and get that. Other quick little news, the Bella Twins have said that they are interested in having one more run left in them for to capture the women's tag team titles. You know what? I have been saying here for weeks, for on past shows, that the women's tag team division, or even the women's division, needs more teams. And you know what? If the Bella Twins want to come back for one more run and hold on to the women's tag team titles, I would be in favor of that. I would love to see the Bella Twins capture the women's tag team titles. I would love to see them, hopefully it's post-COVID. We have fans and they're able to travel and to go to NXT, Raw, SmackDown. I would love to see the Bella Twins go to all the brands, defend the titles, and to get women in NXT more airtime. Give them make a tag team out of those out of some women down there in NXT. Have them come up to challenge on Raw. Have them to come up on and challenge on SmackDown. Whichever. Once we get out of this COVID situation, once we get out of this and the restrictions and all that seems to just, slowly dissipate and we can get back to normal. That's all I'm saying with that. But if it's like during this time period, I'm like, no, I would not be interested in seeing them right now. As much as they need it to say the least. I mean, you got the tag champs, you got Liv and Ruby, Riot Squad right there. Shoot, and there's not really that many more tag teams left. And of course, the travel restrictions, and of course trying to prevent outbreaks to go along. So can't go to NXT and have NXT come up here. That's why we're not having Survivor Series with all three brands like we did last year. So, but that's a whole nother rant for another day. Hopefully, they're saying like, well, once we get out of COVID, we'll think about getting back into ring shape and getting back into give it another go around for the last time. Karrion Kross, another name from NXT. I know that a couple weeks ago I was talking about how he's looking good, and there's a post pic of him, just pulling up Scarlett and another female friend in a basket, working on his rotator cuff surgery after his shoulder surgery. But rumor has it he is ready to go, and at any time he's ready to to return to NXT at any time. So keep your eyes out on NXT programming, because Karrion Kross could be back at drop of a hat. And then, of course, the last little bit of news. WWE is looking for a new place to call home for the Thunderdome while we're still in COVID and the travel, of course, we can't, they can travel in the places of all that. As the NBA is returning December 22nd, and the Orlando Magic need the Amway Center. And of course, the ECHL Orlando, what was it? The Solar Polar Bears, I believe it was. They need the arena too for their hockey. Obviously, they're going to try to get their season back up and going in December. So, WWE has been given an out date by December 4th. So that gives these guys little under a week, 3 weeks. 3 weeks and come Friday. So 3 weeks from Friday or tomorrow, 3 weeks to find, until they're, bye-bye. Thank you for coming here, and we need the arena now. There hasn't really been, a hard look of where, a lot of things poking out and saying, hey, we want to bring the Thunderdome to put out, but there has been an idea thrown out that Tropicana Field might be a place to go. Yes, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, as the home for the Thunderdome. It's been, thrown out there as an idea. Wow, that would be interesting to say the least. I mean, Tropicana Field, it's a baseball stadium, but it's doesn't have a retractable roof, but it's an indoor stadium. I really do not, I could see them using Tropicana Field during the wintertime. I could see them doing that, having that idea. I mean, granted, it'll probably be frozen cold. It'll be freezing cold. Actually, no, I can't really say freezing cold because I'm thinking winter, and I'm forgetting that's down in Florida still. But Tropicana Field, I could very well see, them using that field at, take the grass and the dirt off and everything out, and you got concrete underneath. I could see them, setting up something, as a big spectrum for the Thunderdome, maybe a whole lot bigger, or something a little bit, in a different, feel to it, to where they're, maybe using home, the backstop and everything down there where home plate is, as camera point, and they have like the LEDs around. But I could see that if it happens, if it comes to fruition, that they're going to move to Tropicana Field for maybe December through February, maybe even March, depending on what baseball is going to be doing for the 2021 season. If they're still going to have a spring training, out in the deserts, out in their, not in their home ball field, but out in their spring training facilities, and try to see how long they're going to go for spring training, and make the decision, are we going back to the stadiums for how we did this year, or still a lot of things up in the air with again, with everything. But of course, we know that NBA is coming back December 22nd, and the Magic need their court, their arena. So WWE is heading on out at the the 4th day of December. So that is the news that is out there right now. But yeah, let's get into what happened on the shows this week. What was on the TVs, what was on the pay-per-views. So you know how we do this, because when it's time for that spoiler, so we hear the woo. Woo! It's spoiler alert time. So if you have not watched anything, not paid attention to anything, and you're trying to rewatch all the stuff, then you might want to skip this part, because we're gonna talk about it. So we had Full Gear. Actually, yeah, let's talk Full Gear this weekend. What went down at AEW's Full Gear? a lot of crazy things happen, man. A lot of fun action at Full Gear this past Saturday. Pre-show on the buy-in, we had the NWA Women's Championship defended. Serena Deb defeating Allison Kane by Allison Kay by submission. It was a good match to kick off the night for the buy-in to get people, opening match for the night before they went over to pay-per-view. Loved it. It was great. And then we go straight into the pay-per-view. Okay, guys. I'm just gonna run down the card what I have on here. It's not in any particular order. Kenny Omega, the finals of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. The final match of the tournament with the winner receiving a future AEW World Title match. We had Kenny Omega, the Cleaner, taking on Adam Hangman Page. And this was a knockdown, drag him out fight right here. A lot of back and forth action. It was crazy to say the least. Kenny Omega picking up the victory over his former tag team partner. He will receive a world championship opportunity. And we're going to talk about that when we get to Dynamite because we found out the date for that title match. Should be good. Next match on the docket was Orange Cassidy, the fresh squeezed Orange Cassidy, taking on John Silver. It was a short match, under 10 minutes. It was okay. It was okay. Cassidy picks up the victory. One-on-one opportunity for Darby Allin for the AEW TNT Championship. Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes went to town. This was a damn good match for one of the most impressive titles going on right now in AEW. Darby Allin picking up the victory and beating Cody Rhodes was a damn good match, guys. You need to go and check out that match. It was awesome. So we have new TNT champ in Darby Allin. Women's championship, the world title, the AEW women's title on the line. Haruka Shida taking on Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero in her corner. And they were given a lot of time on this one. And to say the least, the matches between Nyla Rose and Haruka Shida, they've been good. This one was in the ballpark. It was great in the ballpark for these women. They pulled out all the stops. Nyla really wanted the title back, but unfortunately, Haruka Shida retains the title. She is still your AEW Women's Champ. Tag team titles up for grabs. With the Young Bucks taking on FTR. Tully Blanchard was banned from ringside. And if the Bucks could not win the tag titles, if they had lost, they would never challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles ever again. So backs up against the wall. This was the match that they needed. And lo and behold, it was put out there that that the Bucks did not want to challenge for the tag titles until next year. That was something. It was put out there, but they had said that they didn't really want to challenge until next year, but different, situations have changed. So, they get the title, they're one and hope, possibly maybe only opportunity at the tag titles again. They literally tore the house down, paying tribute to the great tag teams of the past, 3D, LOD, Heart Foundation. The Hardy Boys, they were tearing it up. Just so crazy. The Bucks pulling it out. They are your new World Tag Team Champions. And yeah, it's actually nice to finally see the Bucks sorry about that. Get the tag team titles. Their first tag team titles. I mean, they were supposed to, I thought that they were going to be the first tag team champions of the company, but granted, that one was deemed to SCU. I believe it was, if I remember if I was correct. I want because I know it was, it was SCU, and then it was the Hangman and Kenny Omega, and then it was FTR, and then the Bucks. So for the amount of days that this tag team titles has been in flourishing, 4 champs, and the longest has been Kenny and Adam Page. I mean, almost 220 days in one reign. They won it at Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea Part Deuce, the second wave. And that was back at the beginning of this year. So literally January 21st. That just seems so long ago. We're in November. It's November 12th, and the Bucks are in, their 6+ day right now as tag team champions. Yeah, it just seems so long ago. Even for the fact that FTR won the tag titles back in September, but a month ago. And they've only held them on for 63 days. SoCal, SCU, 83-day reign. And to say that Omega and Page got the longest reign right now at 228 days. I mean, granted, a lot of it, the majority of it was on pause because of COVID, because they were still trying to figure out how we come back, and then of course they were allowing shows to happen again. So it just doesn't seem like we've had the tag titles for that long. But again, we've had them for that long. So, and to see now that the Bucks are going to be the tag champs, and I kind of want to see who's going to step up and challenge the Bucks. Should be good matchups again with the Bucks. Of course, multiple time New Japan junior heavyweight or junior tag team champs, multiple time heavyweight tag team champs. Just it's gonna be fun to see. Next up was the Matt Hardy Sammy Guevara matchup in the Elite Deletion match at the Hardy compound. And you want to talk about craziness? Here's your craziness part. Just utter craziness at the Hardy compound again. If you guys remember TNA's Hardy matchup at the Hardy compound, and everything that they were doing with oh shoot, I cannot for the love of me right now think of the tag team. I know it was Abyss and Crazy Steve. I am going to not really. I'm just going to search here. It's literally just going to bother me that I cannot think of the tag team name that it was. Oh, it was Decay. Yeah, Decay. That's what it was. Decay. They were having, these crazy matchups with the Hardy Bros, and just everything that went into it with the broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero. That whole thing there at TNA was just crazy. The broken universe. And I loved it. I mean, yeah, there was some moments of what the hell is going on? But again, just a lot of, it was still great content, but what happened at Full Gear? Having fireworks being launched at people, Matt and Sammy trying to literally attack each other with fireworks, boom, 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 boom. Just, it's like crazy. And then to see Gangrel come out. You saw Hurricane Helms. Like, what is going on? I mean, it's just like super crazy. But yeah, I mean, in the match itself, I mean, granted, at the end they were throwing it back to the last, their last match that they had at uh it was at Double or Nothing. Actually, no, it wasn't Double or Nothing. It was All Out, where they did the Broken Rules match, and they fell off the or not really fall off. It was more, yeah, they fell off the cherry picker through the table. Matt hit his head on the concrete, and they kind of threw that back a little bit, but this time Sammy wins it, Sammy gets the head busted, and Matt wins the match. That match, that little part of the match, a lot of people did not feel like that was needed. Because, I mean, yeah, it didn't really show like it did at All Out with Matt. You could see him go falling and hit. This time around, they played to it like they fell, and where he fell, it looked like he did, but he really didn't. We don't know if he really did or didn't, but it was played to like he had hit and went on the ground. But the way that they did, a lot of people didn't like it as much, because what happened to Matt at All Out was a serious injury, and they should have stopped the match, and they should have gotten him, hey, checked out, hospital, and stuff like that. And even his wife was, just like pissed off on that. So, yeah, I just didn't find that, everyone thought it was tasteless and, not worth it. But again, you use moments, in past matches, or, some stuff that's happened in the rivalry that kind of, brings it back around to where you fit, you've, somewhat of a payback, or even to throw back to where, okay, we had this moment earlier in the rivalry. Now we're bringing it back full circle. It happened to him, and we're going to end it there. And that was, I believe, a good idea, good concept, but the way that we got to that point and how it happened was not the best idea. But still, great match all around. Matt picks up the victory over Sammy Guevara in the Elite Deletion match. Next matchup on the docket was the one-on-one matchup between MJF and Chris Jericho, the demigod. If MJF won, he and Wardlow would be allowed to join the Inner Circle. And MJF coming out in Chris Jericho fashion, back in the day not really back in the day, but WWE, with the light up jacket, and not, but kind of had like a little dig there. And it was a good. I mean, he's been playing the best damn heel in the business right now. Best man on the mic, just playing to it. And then, of course, Jericho coming out, and everyone singing. Judas was, again, can't beat it. Cannot beat it. And especially once we get, back out of this COVID and we get back to normal, where we have tons of people in the stands, and them all singing Judas again. That just gives you chills. But match was great. MJF picks up the victory, and he is now part of the Inner Circle, man. And then main event, I Quit match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley taking on Eddie Kingston. And boy, oh boy, you talk I Quit match. Welcome to the show of raising the brutality, because I Quit matches are no joke. This is a true knockout, drag 'em out fight right here. This was the second longest match of the night behind the Bucks in the World Tag Team title match. I mean, granted, we don't know how long, there wasn't really a count on how long the Elite Deletion match went, but yeah, Moxley and Kingston nearly killing each other, barbed wire, yeah, literally being used as a fist, and Mox trying to choke out Kingston with the barbed wire, got him to say "I quit," and still retains and is still your world champion. But that was Full Gear this past Saturday. It was awesome. We do know that Revolution will be the next AEW pay-per-view, and that will be in the new year. That will be February 27th. So we're gonna get a good 3-month break or 3-month build for their next pay-per-view, because we got December, we got January, we got February. So end of the month of February, literally the last Saturday of February will be their next PPV. So that was Full Gear. Before we head into Raw, SmackDown, what went down otherwise, let's get into some stuff that's happening in New Japan World, because we had a show this past week too. They had a show called Power Struggle, and we had more announcements for Wrestle Kingdom, for what's coming up for their next stuff coming up for the month of November through December with World Tag Team League, Best of the Super Juniors, and the Super J Cup. So we're gonna get into all that right now. Okay, again, Power Struggle this past week was I would say the last real opportunity to get into the main event scene. Just trying, had to get that. But yeah, let's get that up here. Power Struggle this past week. I think I spelled it wrong on here. At least if you're watching this online, you guys should be watching online after you've listened to this on podcast. Make sure you guys come and watch us again on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. But yeah, so Power Struggle this past weekend on Saturday, along with AEW Full Gear. We had the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 trophy matchup, provisionally wise, because it's not, once it gets to the end of the year, we'll have an official champ and then resets for 2021. But the match itself was a no corner pads match. So that means there were no pads in the corners. So you had steel turnbuckles. If you've seen the turnbuckles, every time people take them off at WWE or AEW shows, you know that it's just a nut that is being connected with the ropes, and it is a hard son of a gun, literally. And it was Toru Yano, the current champ, the current unofficial champ, taking on Zack Sabre Jr. And it was a good match. I'll give it that. Unfortunately for Mr. Zack Sabre Jr., he did not win. He lost by count out. So he did not reach back into the ring by the 20 count. Toru Yano retains. He moves on. He continues to be the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2020 champion. And holds on to that trophy. Looks pretty good. Little guy holding up a miniature ring. Looks good. Never openweight championship on the line, 1-on-1 with Shingo Takagi defeating Miyamoto Suzuki and becoming the new champion. It was a great match. I mean, the Never Openweight Championship has some great action, guys. Fast pace. Loved it. one-on-one opportunity. Kazuchika Okada taking on Great Okan. One-on-one opportunity for Okada to get back at the Empire's formation and how it went down during the G1 tournament with the betrayal with Zack Sabre Jr. Leaving and bashing out his former member of Chaos and bringing in more Great Okan. So yeah, just a lot of interesting dynamics with this, man. Okada beats Great Okan by referee stoppage for the match. So, and we found out that after the match, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. challenging. Or sorry, it wasn't Zack Sabre Jr. It was Will Ospreay. Sorry. Reverse. Will Ospreay leaving Chaos. Everything. Okay, but either way, Will Ospreay challenging Okada for night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom. It will go down 1-on-1. That's going to be very interesting coming up on January 4th. And then, of course, we had one of the 2 matches for the right certificates, aka the briefcase, to challenge for champions. We had the IWGP US Championship briefcase on the line as Kenta Kenta defending his right to challenge for the US title against Tanahashi, the ace. And Tanahashi, unfortunately, loses by disqualification. Loses by submission. I don't know why I'm reading it the wrong way. Kenta retains. He is still holder of the U.S. Championship briefcase that gives him the right to challenge Jon Moxley for the title. Probably it will happen at Wrestle Kingdom or somewhere in between. We don't know. It hasn't been officially announced yet. But that went down, and it was a good match. I'll give it that. It was a great match. Almost went 20 minutes. It was a 20-minute match, guys. It was a very great action with these guys. And then, of course, the double main event that happened this past Saturday, the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship rights, the briefcase challenge for the main event at Wrestle Kingdom. The G1 tournament winner and the prize for winning the G1 tournament, Kota Ibushi defending his right to challenge for the heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship, the double championship at New Japan Pro Wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom against Jay White, the Switchblade, the Bullet Club. And for the first time ever, the contract has changed. Literally. It was an awesome match. Thought that Kota Ibushi was going to retain and make it to Wrestle Kingdom for the second straight year in the to get an opportunity for the heavyweight title, like he did last year. Even though he fell short of that goal, as he, of course, we know that it was Tetsuya Naito beating Okada. Actually, was it Okada? You gotta think a lot. A lot of stuff's happening here. You keep forgetting about what happened. Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 14. I swear it was Okada was the Intercontinental. It was Naito. Naito was Intercontinental champion. Okada was the heavyweight champion, and then it became Okada versus Naito. I knew it was one of those. It was that. I just had to get it reversed and changed around. But yeah, Naito was IC champ last year at Wrestle Kingdom, and then it was Okada as the heavyweight champion that Kota was challenging for. But he didn't get the job done that night. Lost his heavyweight title opportunity there at Wrestle Kingdom. But this time around at Power Struggle, unfortunately, he is the first time ever that the G1 champ since 2012 has failed to retain the briefcase, the contract that gives him the right to challenge for the title. So Jay White has got himself a guaranteed IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship opportunity on night 2. And then, of course, the main event of the night, the second of the double main event, Tetsuya Naito defeating Evil for the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship. This one went 30 minutes. 30 minutes plus. This was a back and forth match. This was something that you knew that they were going to bring, because this was literally pretty much the last opportunity to get into the main event at Wrestle Kingdom to be the world champ, the double champ that has been going on for this past year, and to have Naito be the double champ going into Wrestle Kingdom almost a year later. Well, once we get to Wrestle Kingdom, it will be a year later, and only losing the title once, and that was to Evil. So this, of course, was important, and he retained his title, and yeah, he retained the double champ. Got even actually, he pretty much evened up or took the lead in their series between Evil and him and Naito for at least in championship the championships, because he did lose the title back at Dominion in July, and then at Summer Struggle a month later in August, Tetsuya won it back, so they were even. And then this was the rubber match, and Naito picks up the victory, and he retains the titles. So that means he will move on to night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom to defend the world title, the heavyweight and the Intercontinental Championship against Jay White. However, because for some reason, Mr. Oh, sorry, I just messed up something on my own notes. So night 2. Okay, well, immediately following that match, of course, Jay White comes out. It's like, hey, I'm taking night 1 off at Wrestle Kingdom because I got the contract. I'm in the main event. So night 1, I'm taking the night off. If you want to do whatever you want to do on night 1, but night 2, I'm taking the title because it's going to be me and you in the main event. Well, of course, we find out, of course, through translation and everything, that Mr. Naito wants to defend the titles on both nights at Wrestle Kingdom, and he wants to face Kota Ibushi night 1 for the heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship. He feels he has deserved the opportunity, being that he's the G1 champion. He won the G1 tournament, and he should have the right to challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship. And if that match was not made, that he would boycott the entire event. So, yeah, you kind of want to give your champion the opportunity to prove that he should beat the G1 champ. And it's been made official. So night 1, we know that there will be 2 matches that are going on night 1. It will be Naito versus Ibushi for IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships are on the line. And then the winner of that match will face Jay White on night 2 in the main event for both titles. So a lot of great things coming up in the month of January on January 4th and 5th. So buckle up. It's going to be an interesting month. We're under a month away, or like under 2 months away. It's going to be a very interesting 2 months between now and January 4th and 5th. So buckle up. We do know that also starting this Sunday, World Tag Team League and the Best of the Super Juniors will be underway. We know that for the tag title, or the World Tag Team League, the winners of that get a World Tag Team title shot, the heavyweight tag team title shot. I believe it will be at Wrestle Kingdom, as past winners have gotten the opportunity. We know here's the current list for the teams that will be in the tag team tournament, and it will be a block style tournament. So like it was for the G1 tournament, it will be a block style. It will be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10-man team, 10 team block style. No different groups like it was for like past years or whatnot, as it will be Juice Robinson and David Finlay as a team. You should know Juice Robinson as he was the fun-loving peace child over at NXT. That cared, about the environment and everything. He was down at NXT. You should remember him. David Finlay, son of Fit Finlay. My name is Finlay, and I love to fight. You should know that one. Evo and Yuro Tanahashi will team up. Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa will team up, basically because they're Gorillas of Destiny. They're part of the tag team World Tag Team League tournament. Tomo Ishii and Toru Yano are a part of it. Tachi and Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroko Goto, and Yoshihashi, Shingo Tangi and Sanada are a team. Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, the Great Okan and a mystery partner, and then Tanahashi and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tonohiri are the last team in the tournament. So, of course, block style, everyone will face everyone. Most points will, or I want to say it's going to be the top two will face each other in the finals. It'll be December 11th, and it will decide who will be facing the heavyweight champs at Wrestle Kingdom. So it should be a damn good tag team tournament, and it will be intermixing with the Best of the Super Juniors 27. It will also go through November 15th through December 11th. It will be a block style for that. It will be Robbie Eagles, Sho, Taji Ishimori, Hiromu Tanahashi. He's pulling double duty. Ruski Tagji, I want to say. I am just a warning for everything. I'm butchering these names. I know it. So I'm not the best person to say names that are, at least what I'm reading. It's hard for me to say these names a lot because it's just hard. Bushi, El Desperado, Yoshi Nobu, Kamaru, I cannot say his name. It's bad. It's bad. Douki and Master Wido are, another 10-man group style block. It will, another tournament with that for this Best of the Super Juniors. And then, of course, one last little tournament that was announced, the Super J Cup tournament. That one will be taking place at the LA Dojo in Los Angeles. So that one will be a little bit more local. It will be a 2, 4, 6. It'll be an 8-man tournament, single elimination, like a true tournament. It's a 1-day tournament. It will feature, and the bracket looks like this. It will be at the top, Clark Connors taking on Impact Wrestler / WAC Without a Cause heavyweight champion of the world, Chris Bay. Chris Bay representing that WAC world title, Impact, and of course being the former X Division champ. Now heading over to do some New Japan stuff and repping in the Super J Cup, their cruiserweight division. So it should be a damn good tournament. ACH will take on TJP. The winner of the Bay Connors will face against the ACH TJP in the second round. And then, of course, the last two single first round matchups, I should say. Ray Horace will take on Blake Christensen of Game Changer Wrestling. And then, of course, last year's winner, El Fantasmo, will take on Leo Rush. And yes, the same Leo Rush from NXT, who was a cruiserweight champion before he left, and he was the manager for Bobby Lashley. So, yeah, that is your first round matchups there. And of course, the winner of the Phantasmo, Rush, will take on Juarez and Christensen in the second round. Winner of that will face, and so on, because it's a one-day tournament, so everyone's just going. It will happen. We'll have to double check. We'll double check to make sure. It'll probably be on the next show that I will tell you when you guys can check that out on for the Super J Cup. It's going to be great. But of course, Chris Bay, the current WAC world champ. Oh, and it completely slipped my mind again for the 15th time. For the last little bit, because I had this in my notes, but since I just said without cause, my buddy from over here at WAC Without a Cause over here in Everett, Washington. You guys should really check that out online. He is having his third Without a Crowd show. And don't know where it's located, don't know where it's filmed, but they are doing somewhat like WWE's with, no fans and, fans. They're doing a Twitch stream. It will happen this Sunday, not this Sunday. It will happen on Survivor Series Sunday, on the 22nd, 3 p.m. Pacific time. You can go and rewatch the past shows, and you can go and check that out on on Twitch. Just search for Mr. Max Wrestling WA. You can go and check that out. Again, want to give a little shout out to our boys over at WAC Without a Cause and my boy Max, the boss. So yeah, you guys go and check that out. I keep saying this. I don't know why. My brain, the days have just mashed together, this whole pandemic thing. I swear to God. But yeah, the 22nd Survivor Series Sunday will be the third live. It will be live on Twitch. The third Without a Crowd show. But you can go out and check the first 2 episodes of that on Max's Twitch channel. Go and say hi for him from your boys over here at Flex Network. And that's it for the New Japan stuff. Let's get out of the land of the rising sun. Let's get out of here. Let's head back to the States, because we still got a lot of stuff we got to talk about quickly for what's going on WWE programming. What went down on the Blue brand this past week? SmackDown. We're just gonna run through the card quick. May stop and may have some thoughts on a couple things. Sasha defending her newly won SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley, and Banks actually broke the curse. The curse of she cannot defend a women's title ever. At least on the main roster. She beat Bayley with the Banks statement, made her quit, and broke her curse. She is now curse-free of the world titles. And of course, afterwards, Carmella comes out and attacks her on the stage. Probably looking like that's going to be a setup for after Survivor Series. Probably heading into TLC. King Court. We had 3 qualifying matches for the Survivor Series teams, two of the men and one of the women. We had King Corbin taking on Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio does not pick up the victory thanks to some distractions from Seth and the family and everything going on with that situation. King Corbin is now a part of the men's Survivor Series team for SmackDown. Seth Rollins beat Otis in somewhat similar fashion with thanks to Murphy causing a distraction and seemingly joining back up with the Messiah as his disciple again. And Seth Rollins is now a part of Survivor Series for the men's team. And then in a weird situation from backstage from before the show, Natalya was trying to get on the Survivor Series team herself. And we had Ruby and Zelina, vying for like, you know what? I want to join Survivor Series, the team. So, of course, management decides, you know what, we're gonna have another triple threat match. Winner joins the team. And we had triple threat between Ruby, Natalya, and Zelina. Natalya locking on a submission, the sharpshooter on Zelina, and then Ruby comes in to lock in a submission on her own. Kind of like an old Austin the old Jericho and Chris Benoit submission on Stone Cold back in 2001, where one would have Jericho would have the walls, Benoit would have the crossface, but Natalya let go of the sharpshooter, which left Ruby with her submission on and caused Zelina to tap. So yeah, Natalya got robbed a little bit for the plain fact that she had the submission in first, and Zelina was going to tap with one hand, and then Ruby comes in the back door and locks in a submission on her, and Zelina held on for a little bit longer until of course Natalya lets go of the sharpshooter, which means that Ruby's submission is the one that is going to get her the victory because she tapped out to Ruby. So, unfortunately for Natalya, second time in a row, she's come up short to join the team. And then, of course, main event, Jey Uso taking on Kevin Owens, repping the family again. Kevin Owens, throwing a little shade at Paul Heyman. Shouldn't be Paul Heyman's job to get the coffee. And Jey, just a whole lot of, now we're in the after effects of, Jey joining Roman and how he has to rep the fam and, get the respect and everything with the fam. So Jey picks up the victory over Kevin Owens thanks to distractions from Roman's music hitting and then everything that went with that. But that was SmackDown this past week. Let's head on over to that Monday Night Raw and talk what went down on the Red Brand this past week. I'm still calling him Matt Riddle, but technically he's now Riddle, taking on Elias and Jeff Hardy to get the final spot in the Raw Survivor Series team. So he joins AJ, Keith, Sheamus, and Braun. That is a beast of a team right there. I mean, SmackDown kind of looking a little on the flimsy side a little bit. Just saying. Raw kind of is bringing the beef. I mean, you got AJ, the Flyer, you got Keith, Sheamus, and Braun, the Muscle, and the Monsters, and you got Matt Riddle, the Technician. So the scrappy little UFC, technician kind of guy. So they look stacked, but of course, not all the time the Braun always wins the Survivor Series matches. So I mean, if you go back to 2005, you had SmackDown taking on Raw, and Raw had Shawn Michaels, Carlito, Big Show, Kane. Yeah, Big Show, Kane, Shawn, Carlito and Masters repping Team Raw. And then you had Batista, Mysterio, Orton, Lashley, and JBL for SmackDown. Raw had the stacked talent on muscle and brawn alone with Big Show and Kane, and they didn't win, as Orton was the sole survivor of that night for Team SmackDown. But yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting Survivor Series men's matchup this year. Moving on, Raw. Shayna Baszler taking on Lana. And lo and behold, again, I mean, Lana being a little pit bull, just going at it and with Shayna, but it didn't last long. Shayna makes Lana pass out in / tap out. Lana loses. They were going to try to put her through a table, but thanks to the other members of the women's team, they stopped her. It's like, hey, we got to get on the same page. We're a team. You know, it's like, okay, you know, they backed down from that. Fortunately enough, later in the night, we had Asuka taking on Nia Jax, non-title. Unfortunately for Miss Jax, she lost via disqualification. All hell breaks loose, and Nia, potentially may have injured one of her teammates in Mandy Rose. We don't know how serious it is. It may just be, a stinger. And then afterwards, for not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, not the fifth, not the sixth, not even the seventh time, but for the 8th time in a row, 8 straight weeks, Lana went through an announce table via Samoan drop from Nia Jax. I do not know what is going on. I've lost all sense of reality with this whole thing of why in the blue hell are we still seeing Nia Samoan drop Lana through an announce table. I've lost count. I have no reason for it now. I mean, one is, going through one time is one thing. You're angry at her, for costing you a match or something. 2 times, I could see that, interference, maybe costing you a match and you just want to get payback at her. 3 times. Okay, now we're getting a little stingy. It's like, okay. All right. And the fact that, she joined Team Raw for the team and like, okay, whatever. But 4, 5, what the heck's going on? Okay, it's like you got a vendetta against this girl. 6 is like, seriously, what did she do? Did she steal the last, bagel at catering? Did she, hog the bathroom at the Amway Center? Did she, say something mean about your makeup 7 times? What, she make fun of your tights or something? What's going on? 8 times? 8 times. Now it's just getting like, okay, you're seriously trying to hurt Lana and put her out. It's not funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's like, seriously, what else did she do to you? Did she not like something on Instagram for you? She'd said something bad about you on TikTok, on Twitter? I mean, come on. Oh, just crazy. I would not be surprised next week I'm coming on the show and I say for the 9th time that something happened. Or even by the time we get to Survivor Series, we say 10 or 11. It would be crazy, but literally, it's 2020. And if I've said it once, I'll say it again. If it's been said once here on the Flex Network, it will be say again, because 2020.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Literally, anything is possible in this year. But and then of course, last two matches of the night we'll go through quick. Mustafa taking on Ricochet. Mustafa picks up the victory in his match against Ricochet, trying to somewhat maybe even recruit him a little bit. I don't know. And then six-man tag of the former world champ, the current tag team champions of Drew McIntyre and the New Day, taking on The Miz and Morrison and the current reigning WWE champion Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre and the New Day picking up the victory over Miz, Morrison, and Orton. We do know that the New Day will take on Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin this coming Monday for the tag team titles and to represent Raw for the Raw side of the tag team championships match between Raw and SmackDown. So a lot of things could change. Some things can change. And then, of course, and also we know that next week we will have a WWE Championship match. Randy Orton will defend the title against Drew McIntyre, and this could also change the winner of this match will also change the match between Roman and the SmackDown Universal Championship match at Survivor Series, as it will, the Raw champ will face the SmackDown World Champ at Survivor Series. So a lot of things could change between now and or not really now, but things could change next Monday. We could have new tag champs, we could have a new world champ, we could have new champs for both, or one, or none. So we got some things to see this coming Monday night on Raw. Let's head over to the black and gold brand of what went down at NXT last night. Literally to start the show, we had Johnny Gargano put up the North American title against a new guy, someone we haven't seen, Leon Ruff. Okay? And not even by choice. I mean, he decided to let the wheel decide what was going to happen. And yeah, the wheel kind of looked like it was a little bit weighted on both sides, to where you spun it and then got to a certain point. Oh, we're going to go the other way. No, we're going to go back. And it lands on a tape name of Leon Ruff. Now, Johnny had the match in tow. He was playing with his food a little bit more than usual, trying to break his own curse of not successfully defending his titles on the first defense, like Sasha Banks. I mean, he held the North American title. He lost it. He had the world title. He lost it to Adam Cole. First defense. So now he's the two-time North American champ. Well, he's got to defend it and break his own curse. Obviously, Leon Ruff is the winner of the spin of a wheel. But, of course, we get the former champ, and Damian Priest, show up, behind, plexiglass a cage, turns, walks around. It's like, hey, I'm right here. It's like, dude. Causes more of a distraction. Leon Ruff rolls up Johnny Gargano, and we have a new North American champion. Wait. Did I just say new North American champion? Yes, I did. The biggest upset in NXT history. A virtual unknown beats the first ever Triple Crown champion in NXT history, the first ever two-time North American champion, Johnny Gargano, in his first title defense of his second reign. Literally, what the f***? I mean, I couldn't have written that thing any better. I mean, to add insult to injury. Not only do you lose the title, but you lose the title to a virtual unknown. Wow. And then afterwards, celebration in the back. I mean, literally, the kid put the belt on, put the title on. Priest, lifts up his hand in victory. He's like, "Yeah, you won. Congratulations, man." He holds on to the belt. His hands raised, and the title belt, just drops like a little kid. It's like a little brother wearing, big boy clothes. He's holding on to it, and then the second he lets go of it, it just drops. This is why you don't give children big title belts. They drop. But yeah, in the back, and then in the back, he's like, celebrating, and then Priest is like, "You know what? I know, this is a great moment for you, kid. Congratulations." But in about a few seconds, little baby Johnny's gonna be coming through that curtain, and he's pissed. So here's a Dark Challenger. Here's the keys. Dark Challenger, just drive and go. Just go. And he's like, "Oh, run!" And everything back there, Johnny's just pissed off. He's like, "I need to, that match didn't happen. I'm still a champion. Do your job, will you go? You caused it, Priest, you caused this, blah, blah, blah." It's like, trying to fight is like, dude, you made your own match. You set your own rules, and you still lost. You picked your own challenger, essentially, and you lost. Good God. Oh, I'm enjoying what's going on in NXT. If I haven't been more clear about this, I love what's going on in NXT. It's entertainment, very much for me. Cruiserweight title was on the line. Literally, we had 3 title matches going up for grabs. We had the North American, the Cruiserweight, and the NXT tag team titles. Cruiserweight title. Damn good cruiserweight action with Santos Escobar taking on Jake Atlas. Back and forth, a lot of craziness. Santos retains again the cruiserweight championship. One-on-one opportunity for Candice to take on Toni Storm in a great matchup. Candice LeRae beats Toni Storm, and we find out that the Ghostface that has been helping the Garganos, at Halloween Havoc, giving Johnny the NXT championship and helping Candice up the ladder in an attempt to win the women's title. And then last week, when we saw Candice destroy Shotzi's tank, was none other than Andy Hartwell. Figure that was going to come up. And then one-on-one action, we had Timothy Thatcher taking on Dexter Loomis. Timothy Thatcher just beating up on Dexter. I mean, it was back and forth. Thatcher picks up the victory, and then the tag team title match, the main event, as Larkin and Birch taking on the former champs Breezango in their rematch, I would say, as Oni and Danny Birch, Oni Larkin and Danny Birch, retain the titles, with more chaos and destruction of Pat McAfee and hold on. Pete Dunne, sorry. Yeah, Pete Dunne and Pat McAfee caused more chaos. And then, of course, we had Spud coming on down. Yeah. Spud. I remember it was Spud from TNA. I literally cannot, at the moment, it's like, I feel like I'm losing my mind right now with thinking. Where's my NX past it? Oh, yeah. Drake Maverick. Yeah, Drake. Coming down and, helping out. It's like just a lot of chaos that went down at the end of NXT with everyone, with all the tag champs. But yeah, that was NXT this past week. Dynamite literally was a Dynamite this past week. We'll close out with a little bit of that, and then we'll go through the updated card for Survivor Series and get you another last little bit for another wheel spin. Dynamite this past week, we had Brian Cage taking on Matt Sydal. Brian Cage picks up the victory. The Natural Nightmares taking on Butcher and Blade in a bunkhouse match. A come dress as you are bunkhouse brawl. Literally, that match I have not seen a bunkhouse match in a long time. As crazy as can be. And it was crazy. You had Bunny go through the alley, go through a table, just craziness. I love those matches. Natural Nightmares picking up the victory over Butcher and Blade. Sean Spears beat Scorpio Sky in one-on-one action. Tay Connie defeated Red Velvet, and just how Red Velvet comes out is just funny to me. Straight out of your mama's kitchen, Red Velvet. Really? Okay, interesting, intro. And then, of course, brother against brother, Pentagon defeating Phoenix in singles action. Not bad for the post Full Gear show. A lot of great things coming out of that. We know that, Pac is back, baby. As we know that next week he'll take on the Blade in one-on-one action. Orange Cassidy will take on Kip Sabian. The Bucks will take on Top Flight in a non-title match. Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes will tag team against Cage and Ricky Starks of Team Taz. And I guess the Inner Circle is going to Vegas, everybody. Which, of course, has been, was funner than hell. To see MJF getting, introduced into the Inner Circle was a hoot and a half. And then we do know that December 2nd, literally 3 weeks from last night. So 3 weeks from last night, on December 2nd, to kick off the month of December, we will have ourselves an AEW World title match between Mox, the current champion, and Kenny, the cleaner, Omega, which is going to be a hell of a good match. If their last match was any indication, the last time it was, literally crazy. This time around, it's going to be proven who's the number one man, and who, no weapons this time around, as it's a straight up wrestling match. But let's see what's going to happen, as Mox will defend the world title against the cleaner, Kenny Omega. And that is Dynamite for the week. I'm going to have a couple last little things, and then we will get on out of here for the week. The updated card that we know for Survivor Series coming up in 10 days. We know Team Raw, it will be AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle taking on Team SmackDown's Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Corbin, Rollins, and one last member. Hopefully it will be named this week on SmackDown. The women's side of the Survivor Series matchup is for Raw, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, and Lana taking on SmackDown's Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, and 3 open spots left. We'll probably find out this week also of who's joining Team Raw or Team SmackDown for the women's 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. The Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn, will take on Raw's U.S. Champ, Bobby Lashley. Tag Team Championships will face each other, as it will be SmackDown Street Profits taking on either the New Day or the Hurt Business. We'll find out on Raw this coming week. The Women's Champions will go heads up, as it will be Raw's Asuka taking on SmackDown's Sasha Banks. And then the World Champs will go heads up. It will be the Universal Champion Roman Reigns taking on either Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre, as we'll find out who will be the WWE Champion this coming Monday night on Raw. That is it for everything, literally. But before we head out, I'm going to give you guys another Survivor Series. What you need, get you more into that mood for Survivor Series. So let's have another pay-per-view / match rewatch spin here, because let's bring up my wheel. Intern, I said bring up my wheel. The thing that goes wheel. I said, give me the wheel. Thank you. I feel like I have to, do not make me choke slam you. I will choke slam you. But yes, we have ourselves a wheel. And of course, we will ignore the 1994 Survivor Series because we've already talked about that last time. So, if it happens to land on that again, we will just spin again. Hopefully, we won't have to. But, of course, we have pretty much everything with Undertaker on here because, of course, we know that at Survivor Series, it will be Undertaker's last hurrah. And you know what? Well, rather than talk about it, let's just get into it. Because here we go. Oh, I knew we were probably going to get this one. So, this one. 2003. Oh my goodness. What a year that was. I love 2003's Survivor Series. It has to be one of my favorite Survivor Series out there, because this was the first ever Survivor Series I actually got to watch from beginning to end. It was unbelievable. And I love, literally Survivor Series 03. I love that one. It was, it had literally one of the best ones I ever saw. Beside, that I actually got to sit down and watch from beginning to end on that Sunday in November on 2003, November 16th. It was awesome. But let's run down a little bit of the card for you, because this card was awesome, to say the least. I mean, you're talking on Sunday Night Heat, you had the Cruiserweight Championship match. You had Tajiri, Jamie Noble. On the main card, you had 2 Survivor Series style matchups. Now, this wasn't brand related. This was separate, brands specific match, inner brand Survivor Series matchups. We had a SmackDown one. We had Team Angle with Kurt Angle, Bradshaw, before he was JBL, Chris Benoit, Hardcore Holly, and the Dr. Thugonomics, John Cena, taking on Team Lesnar, Brock Lesnar, that had Brock Lesnar, A-Train, The Big Show, Nathan Jones, and Matt Morgan. And remember how I said earlier in the show with how the bronze teams sometimes don't win? This was one, because this Brock Lesnar team was stacked and jacked. You had Lesnar, the WWE champion. You had A-Train, a.k.a. Albert, a.k.a. Tensai, Tensai, sorry, a.k.a. Tensai. Big Show, the U.S. champ. Nathan Jones. If you remember WrestleMania 19, he was tag team partners of The Undertaker. And you had Matt Morgan, the stuttering Matt Morgan, who's now, governor? or mayor. I forgot where, but literally, actually, let me double check. But he's in office somewhere. Yeah, 2017. Or yeah, no, he's mayor of Longwood, Florida. So yeah, he is mayor. He is currently a mayor right now, in Longwood, Florida. So yeah, a former mayor now, or not a current mayor right now. That was a team right there, and you would think that was just gonna, Lesnar was just gonna steamroll. No. Women's title was on the line. You had Lita taking on Molly Holly, trying to win the title, the women's championship. That was exclusive to Raw. Ambulance match. You had Kane and Shane O'Mac. That was a crazy match right there on its own. You thought their match at Unforgiven was, the last man standing was insane. Whoo! This took it to another level of craziness. The WWE Tag Team Championships. Not the World Tag Team titles that were on Raw, but the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Bashams as champs, taking on Los Guerreros and Chavo and Eddie Guerrero. The Raw side of the Survivor Series elimination match, you had Team Bischoff with Jericho, Christian, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, and Scott Steiner taking on Team Austin and Booker T, the Dudley Boys, Rob Van Dam, and Shawn Michaels. And this one had the interesting stip that if Austin's team won, then Austin would have free reign again to whoop ass as he sees fit without being physically provoked to attack any Raw superstar. But if Austin team loses, he had to step down as co-general manager of Raw. So the 03 was one of the best years because you had the Austin and Bischoff as co-general managers. You had Steph as the SmackDown general manager, and then it was quietly, then it was changed over to Paul Heyman in October. But just a lot of great things that went down at in 03. And then of course you had the Buried Alive match with The Undertaker taking on Mr. McMahon. And this was the last time, at least until this past WrestleMania, that we got to see Biker Undertaker, the American Badass, as unfortunately, thanks to his brother Kane, helped Mr. McMahon bury the Undertaker alive, which equally set up the return of the dead man to WrestleMania 20 at MSG. So, damn. And then, of course, for the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event, you had Goldberg as champion taking on Triple H. So this card was stacked, guys. I mean, literally. And the theme for this Survivor Series was Limp Bizkit's Build a Bridge. It was I had to go through the lyrics in my head and try to remember. But yeah, Limp Bizkit's Build a Bridge, and it fit with this year's Survivor Series with 2003. It was awesome. If you guys go out and search on YouTube for the commercials for the card and everything, it just fits so well. But yeah, that is going to be it for me. That is it. We are done for this week as we are on the road to Survivor Series. This is going to be a bumpy ride as we head down the road. So, as used, before we peace on out of here, got a little stuff to plug. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe, and share us with everyone that you know and love. Share us with all your wrestling fans that you know that love wrestling. as we're coming on here every single Thursday to talk wrestling with you guys. You should be following us at the Flex Network 1 on Twitter for your fantasy football and football needs. And on the other side of the spectrum, you should be following us at FlexNet_PW Elite for your wrestling content on Twitter. And then, of course, you should be following us on Facebook at the Flex Network. We're there, of course, every week for your football and fantasy football content and your wrestling stuff too. And then, of course, our YouTube pages. You can find us at Flex Network and Flex Network Wrestling. That's where we'll be broadcasting all of our stuff. I will be back next Wednesday on Flex Network for our NFL Weekend Review show. We'll look back at Week 10 and look ahead to Week 11. And then, of course, I'll be back here, and that will be at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you guys come and check that out. And then, of course, I'll be back next week on Thursday with another edition of the Wrestling Weekend Review show here at 6:30 Pacific time. So that is going to be it for me, guys. I will check you guys out next week. So that is going to be it. I am the SnowMan, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
This has been the Pro Wrestling Weekend Review Show.
You got some fellow Canadians.
But when you're from Calgary,
Where's that?
Alberta, Canada,
A one-way first-class ticket to Larryland. What is it with you folks coming to Florida? Stay in your own country.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. Right here.
Why me? Why me? Why me?
don't blame Canada, blame yourself.
Feels like showtime every minute to me. I can't help it. No. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ta-ta for now. We're out of time. Good night on Nitro.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well, you're welcome, Jurassic Slap Ass.